It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. Hope you're having a beautiful day. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question that has come in quite a lot recently, and that is how to handle a really severe relationship that has become very difficult. Perhaps this person could become very malignant or severely narcissistic to the point where it's really hurting you, it's depressing you, and you feel that you're sort of lost control and even maybe lost hope in the relationship and even sort of life. It can have that sort of emotional upset. So when we look at and understanding a malignant narcissist, it's important to understand where a lot of this upset within you derives. So not just what's going on within the other person, but more importantly, what is going on within you. People, really get caught up in focusing on the narcissist when, all that is well and good, but it's also good and well and important that you focus on yourself. Because really you're, accountable to yourself at the end of the day. It'll eventually get to a brink or a tipping point where you will come to this realization. But one of the manipulation tactics of the malignant narcissist is that sort of exerting just sort of an insatiable need for power and control over others that a lot of people can receive or experience as sort of this authoritarian control. In other words, very one-sided, very one-directional, isn't interested in your viewpoint of things. And that could be very well the case. When it comes to a malignant narcissist, there's just sort of a lack of empathy or a lifelessness that is going on underneath it all, despite their apparent success, apart from their apparent, social conquest or what have you. There's a certain lifelessness or emptiness, which oftentimes is very different from you. And you will find that you will not become an energetic match to this individual if they become very malignant or authoritarian, because a lot of people do not, like this sort of oppression or this sort of bearing down, really when it's a very strict sort of obedience that they want things on their side. And it's at the expense of personal freedom of others. People, oftentimes will make the mistake in the beginning of giving up a lot of their personal freedoms because they feel that they don't have any rights, so they'll give it up. But then as time goes on, they'll realize, wait, I really do have rights here. I really do have a boundary. This is not correct. This is immoral. There are people's other viewpoints here. And it's not just the authoritarian, so you might have to feel, a lot of people then experiencing this get very angry, and then they might have a sense of reactiveness or, rage, as a counterforce to the force of the narcissistic rage, which is oftentimes just a very sort of hostile, just sort of temper tantrum, immature, like anger expression, even from an adult, that oftentimes is so displeasurable that it causes them to get their way because they're just very complaining or whining, or no one wants to upset them because they've seen this rage before and they don't want that to happen. So they're always, the term is, walking on eggshells around this person because they don't want them to blow up into a narcissistic rage. This is a feeling of sort of this authoritarian rule over the relationship where it's at the expense of your personal freedom. And they expect, or, just sort of, expect as if you're going to have strict obedience to them. And a lot of people who don't have a lot of direction might, or are on the down and out, or, very, in a sad or bad place in their life or on the rebound, might find themselves, welcoming of this sort of control, this sort of authoritarian, relationship, because they don't have to be in control. They already feel powerless. They already feel helpless, or this is then exasperated and made worse. And so it becomes very demoralizing, and it can be very demeaning when another realizes that they feel that all of a sudden all of their rights have been stripped and then of them, and that they feel that if they stand up for themselves, they have an ongoing sense of ongoing crippling guilt, a crippling guilt for asserting themselves. The person has basically, in my viewpoint, scorched the earth. They've burned the bridge, they've burned the ground, and you're supposed to reconnect with them and find a map, back to Idaho. How are you going to do that when they've scorched the earth and there's no way back? They've dissolved the bridge, they've burned the bridge. Oftentimes in that devalue and discarding, but even in the love bombing, they'll begin to sort of, cause this sort of malignancy and need for them to be in 100% control. See, everything becomes along those terms. So a lot of people don't realize that they're being made passive or docile. And they don't realize that they think it might be a temporary situation. But then what happens when the temporary becomes chronic and ongoing? Then you find that you're then feeling like a victim. You're feeling like you're left in the dark. You're feeling like you're being deceived and fooled, play for a fiddle, that you're being disrespected, or all of the above. So you need to really recover your sense of I am if you've experienced this sort of malignant narcissist or even psychopathic relationship when it's become very authoritarian. And that's, really, once again, the covert narcissist is more covert about having this authority. They have such strict authority over themselves that it really becomes a discipline in order to have a relationship with them. But realize that it is important for you to restore your sense of respect for yourself. I mean, don't worry about these other individuals in the harsh, bridges that they've burned with you by doing, these very insensitive things. This is just what they do. And you have to not take it personally. Even if you are in a personal relationship with them, it's very important that you understand that even if this has been a close person to you, that you can't take it personally, even though it seems very difficult to remove the personal aspect of it. It's just that you are the one who's observing and experiencing it. So in other words, it's just kind of like one of these bound to happen sort of situations. Unfortunately, it's not pleasant. It takes a lot of energy and courage and wisdom and trusting the process to see through this. So trust the process. Begin to learn a little bit more about the cause that's created this effect, and it'll begin to gel, and you'll be able to see how they had assumed this authoritarian, aspect to, kind of fool, but you have power. You have control. You have creative and ability to communicate. And if need be, set the record straight. First, setting it straight within yourself, and then being able then to share it with others. You'll be able to have a better sense of trust and guidance. And, it's very important that you have, realize that this is, if you've been hurt from this, then having some degree of compassion and empathy and, real empathy for self will be very healing as part of your perspective going through all this. This is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace in, peace be with you, and have a beautiful day. You've got this.